Good afternoon, my name's Dave Lee from Dell EMC's data protection team in the UK, and I'd like to spend roughly 8 minutes of your time talking to you about our data protection strategy and vision to help you with your plans for the future. So you may remember roughly 3 months ago I came to talk to you about this idea called the data protection continuum. So just a quick recap on what that was. This is all about protecting workloads wherever they might be, so on-premise, remote office, back office, hyper-converged or converged infrastructure, or more and more, you said, and customers are doing this, moving data and workloads into the cloud. So how do we back up and restore data in the cloud? And ultimately, if we've got a mixture of these environments, which most customers have, how do we back up all of this data in a unified way to reduce cost and risk? And following on from that, we discussed the concept of this kind of continuum, this line where you've got different applications being treated differently depending on how critical they are to your business. So you might have Oracle or SAP at one end, critical to your business, needs to be recovered quickly. We might have email or Exchange, which we need to snapshot and recover from a couple of days ago because a user's lost a file and they can remember when they last had it. And then to the other end, cybercrime and cybersecurity is becoming a crazy thing these days. The NHS constantly being battered and held to ransom in terms of their data, and it's happening more and more with large organisations across the globe. So it's a real threat, it affects customers like you, and it's how do we deal with that, again with a unified, joined up message. And we don't care really, or we don't want to care what that's run on. We might choose to run on Dell EMC infrastructure, so best of breed servers, storage and data protection equipment. We may want to run it on hyperconverged and have a nice integrated solution. We may want to run it on cloud or some of it on cloud. So that we've kind of got to give ourselves options, and that is really what Dell EMC do. A single vendor, reduce cost, reduce risk, and that's our data protection mantra, if you will. And then after a couple of other things I wanted to talk to you about which are extremely important. If we're thinking, and we're wanting to move more data to the cloud, and IDC and ESG suggest that although it might be 5–10% of our data that's in the cloud today, by 2020 that's going to be more like 30% of our data, and some crazy number like 44 zettabytes of data, which is almost hard to imagine. Architecture matters. You're very familiar with data domain and how we compress, we deduplicate data and we protect data, and you can store vast amounts of data in a small space on data domain. Imagine if you can take data domain as a target and you can then move data into other even lower cost to serve environments such as ECS, Elastic Cloud Storage, or into a public cloud, into S3 or cheap object storage in AWS or Azure. With data domain in our solutions, you can do that, and because of our architecture, we're essentially half the price of our nearest competitor managed data on-premise and in the cloud. And we can back that up with proof of concept, analyst reports, don't just take my word for it. And a quick little quote there I put is less than a penny per gig per month, and it's actually fractions of a penny per gig per month depending on where you put the data. Okay, so that's the kind of debrief, if you don't mind, for where we were and where we're going. And there's 3 areas really that I'd like to focus on in a little bit more detail with you. And the first is workload and applications. This is essentially what we run our business on. And we need to be able to do clever things around data protection for databases and applications. And of course we do that with things like Data Domain Boost, Protect Point, where we integrate with the applications, we back them up faster, we restore them faster, and we give self-service and control to our admin teams if we need to do that. Virtual machine infrastructure. There's other vendors that can back up virtual machines quite well, and they might come to you and say, we've got a simple interface, but are there any vendors that can back up databases well, that can back up virtual machine infrastructure well, and then moving forward into the future, backing up those next-gen applications that run in the cloud as well? And the answer is no, there isn't another vendor that can do that. And we come down to protection method. How do you want to protect your data, Mr. Customer? Do you want it to be client direct? Do you want it to be application direct? Or Do you want it to be cloud native and back up in the cloud? And if we look at kind of the construct that other vendors have got, they've either got managed offerings or they've got self-service offerings. They haven't really got a blend of both. Dell EMC is the only vendor that can actually do that for you. And the third section is protection infrastructure. We've already discussed data domain. It's the best purpose-built backup infrastructure on the market in terms of bang for your buck and actually putting your data on something. Integrated data protection appliance. We're seeing a number of customers at the moment that have got multiple backup vendors and they've got a huge complexity. Imagine if we can take a device in that's scalable up to 150 petabytes and it's got everything they need. It's got servers, it's got storage, it's got the software, it's got the analytics, it's got the ability to link their strategy into the cloud all with one box. Fastest time to install and deploy data protection. That's the sort of stuff that Dell EMC is working on today. Software defined. Utility companies especially are embracing this at the moment in my experience, and they don't care what it says on the server anymore, what it says on the storage. They just want this immense pool of compute and resource power and then manage it all with software, so they've got a single view of the truth, but everything's orchestrated nicely together and they just add compute power as they need to grow and scale out. And Dell EMC have got solutions to do that now, so you don't have to buy a hardware appliance from me anymore. You don't have to do the things that we used to do. You could spin up virtual data domain infrastructure, software defined, and run things in that way if you choose to. And finally, cloud. You've got to have a joined up message, so cloud is naturally important. When Dell EMC can store your data at half the price of our nearest competitor, you know that as your cloud strategy and the amount of data you're moving out to the cloud is growing, you know that you're going to save money by doing it with us and it's going to be more efficient. You have to retrieve less data from the cloud, so your egress costs are less. So that's what Dell EMC is today, and got some cool stuff here which we're working on in the future. Just to highlight just a few points for you here on what we're doing going into the next few months. So we're doing things around virtual machine infrastructure where you can move data around faster on hypervisors and into the cloud. Look out for that, it's going to be Q4 this year. Integrated data protection appliance. It's all about business outcomes. How fast can I deploy my new data protection infrastructure? How fast can I go on my cloud journey? Can I do it all in one box to simplify it? One support number for all of my support and maintenance? Yes, you can. Data domains. We've now flash enabled our data domain, so you can now run up to 20 VMs in your data domain before you actually recover back to your server infrastructure. It's hugely important stuff to keep your business running. Massively scalable, as I said, and you can use your data domain as a target to move off to cloud, move it off to elastic cloud storage, whatever you choose, and keep your weeklies, monthlies, dailies on your data domain ready to recover when you need. Software defined. Customers want to scale up, but they also want to scale out as well. Have a look at what we've got coming down the road on software defined solutions. And another thing we're changing is, I've kind of done a dotted line around the solution there in terms of what we can offer, but we're simplifying how we manage our data protection. So that means a nice user interface in terms of being able to manage everything, and we're changing from going for products such as Network and Avamar, as you know, in the past, but we're going to a kind of data protection suite, which means you've just got one console to manage everything, to make it nice and simple. And we've even got things like e-copy data analytics, which means you can have all of your data domains and all your data protection moving into a nice portal that we've got hosted for you, which will give you lovely insight in terms of red, amber, greens and traffic light maps on how your environment's working. And finally, some customers don't really want a user interface. They don't want our custom GUI interfaces for themselves to run the business. They've got things like vRealize and open architectures where they've got their own tools to orchestrate and manage their data protection infrastructure. So Dell EMC are creating links into APIs where you can manage it from your own software. You don't have to use our tools to manage the data protection environment. Okay, so that in summary is everything that the data protection strategy and vision is at Dell EMC. As you can see, we can manage your data across the whole gamut, the whole continuum of the infrastructure, apps, databases, future in terms of next generation applications. We can reduce the cost, we can reduce the risk. Why wouldn't you deal with us? Thank you very much for your time.